20 years ago. It must have been 20 years ago. I was lucky enough to get on a Defence Force chopper. We went to Molesworth Station. And I think it must have been during an election campaign because Helen Clark was, I think it was Clark, and Labor was saying, oh, National could sell this. It must have been because it's owned by the state, you see, Crown-owned 180,000 hectare high country farm in the upper South Island. And what's happened there is the farm manager, this is the country's biggest farm manager's quit. Been there 24 odd years. He's quit over the future government plans for this farm. What's happening on the station? The government's considering planting pines on this high country, iconic high country. I mean, I cannot state what an amazing. It's still in my mind. 20 years later, I remember hanging out the side of this Iroquois, thinking it's going to fall. But the farm is astonishing. In terms of amazing taonga in the world, this is one of them. And the government's considering planting pines on this high country station to meet emissions targets around climate change. Surely, that is a drop-dead moment of just absolute thickness, I would have thought. Why would we do something so silly? So, could it be true? Well, the farm managers walked off the property saying, no, I can't deal with what their future might hold. Gary Taylor is the chair of the Environmental Defence Society. He's described the idea as greenwashing. He couldn't be more right, in my view. Bad idea for all sorts of reasons. He says he's with us now. Gary, g'day. Nice to have you on the program.
Yeah, hi, Duncan.
Let's just remind people what it is, because I think New Zealanders become so, I don't know, disengaged sometimes with their society. They don't know what they own. And this is more than just a farm. This is a high country iconic station, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a really important part of New Zealand. It's enormous. I mean, to get from one end of it to the other is an effort. It's a very diverse landscape. It's sort of located, from my recollection at least, south of Blenheim and kind of runs through towards towards Hanmer. And it's got a lot of important ecological content there, plants and animals and birds, and at the moment it's farmed, low intensity farming, sort of beef and sheep, in order to help manage that landscape. So it's quite a skill to farm a property like that. It's a very challenging environment to farm. And what the government's, and of course one of the problems that they've had there for many years is wilding pines, which is, pine trees just proliferating essentially out of nowhere, and they're weeds and pests, and they take over and they have to be eradicated. And
they're ugly, aren't they? And they do no one any good.
Yeah, they're no use to anybody. And I think there's about 10 or 12 species of pine, including contorta and radiata. And of course, the farm manager, who's just left, has put a lot of his life's work into trying to keep these things at bay through this really, really large New Zealand-owned farm. And now what's happening is that just before Christmas, the government announced an intention to look at enabling planting of carbon forests, pine forests on public conservation land. And so there's an exercise going on at the moment of working out where that could go.
It's heartbreaking hearing that. It's just heartbreaking hearing it. It's bloody heartbreaking, to be honest. I mean, as much as the politics gets in the way of everything, why would you do it?
Well, they just don't belong in our country, and it's interesting. Well, no, that's a bit of an exaggeration. I mean, we need plantation forestry for wood, but not on our iconic landscapes like Molesworth. And the irony of having spent a lifetime like the manager has trying to control pest pines and then going in and actually planting the area out just defies comprehension, really.
I mean, the reason, and I feel so privileged now to look back and think, we were there for the day. The reason why we were with the Defence Force, because that's how big it is, that we flew from one end of it largely to the other, because that's how you don't take a quad bike.
No,
and
no.
But it is astonishing, isn't it? I mean, it's almost like well, I mean, this is New Zealand, but you could be anywhere in the world, and it's just valleys and it is so diverse. But I'm just trying to imagine it now with all these big hillsides and pine, and it would be bastardising the place.
Yeah, and my understanding is that what they're looking at is they're looking at permanent pine. So these would be there forever. These would not be your normal sort of crop rotation for timber pine. These would be carbon forests that are there forever. And of course, you know what happens with pine in this country. It grows really, really quickly, of
Kills
course.
Everything.
And eventually, of course, the trees reach maturity, and then if they're not harvested, they start falling over. They become a fire risk, and the place becomes inaccessible. And so that's why I just think this is not a good idea. And I don't know why the farm manager resigned, but I have seen speculation from people in the know that it's because of this sort of, the last straw of this proposal. And I just hope it doesn't come to fruition.
You know the Woodhill Forest out west, along the Muriwai beaches along the coast there?
Yeah.
The Woodhill Forest. Now, I've been in there, a bit of four-wheel driving and all that sort of crap, and parts of this is overgrown and mad and fallen over and everything. That's what it would become. We would be this is not about economic value, ruining economic value. This is about the environmental value to me.
Yeah. And Duncan, it's not just Molesworth. I mean, they're looking at all public conservation land, which includes all the high country pastoral lease land. That iconic high country stuff in the Mackenzie Basin, for instance.
Twizel and everything. Yeah, I've seen all that.
Yeah. I mean,
whose idea is this?
This is ruining our landscape. Well, it's a bunch of ministers, and I don't want to be pejorative about it, but it came through very quickly out of the blue as a proposal, and that's why I described it as greenwashing at the time. I think I also said it was half-baked because
it's
of
totally
the
cooked.
speed with which it came. That's right, the speed with which it came out. And so, I mean, this is a process that's active, and if people do care about our landscapes, they should be, buttonholing their MP and saying, what the hell's going on? It's one thing to have a forest sector that produces wood for useful purposes like building houses, but, I mean, it's actually, from a climate change point of view, it's just kicking the can down the road. We can't plant our way out of that.
No, we can't. There's all sorts of science and ways to meet obligations if that's what we have to do and must do. But one of them is, surely you don't kill that golden goose to get to this target that other countries may or may not get to, and we may or may not get there ourselves. So this is one of our plans. There's surely got to be other areas. I don't disagree with planting places, but not that.
No, that's right. It's the right tree in the right place is the mantra.
Well, let's look at north and east. I mean, let's look at where the floods have been. Let's look at what needs replanting. Let's,
also let's consider native forest. I mean, native forests are what actually belong here. Yeah. And if you want to stabilise a mobile hillside from, those kinds of extreme weather events, then you're going to do a hell of a lot better with permanent native forests, in places like Tairāwhiti than pines.
Oh, of course you are. And I've seen pines come up against the Waipoua forest in the north, where I spend a lot of time. And, I shudder every time I see that pine going anywhere near, because it's so invasive, pine. Yeah. And it's so brutal. It's. I mean, I don't know over, but it's almost like a cancer in many ways. The way it spreads and kills.
Yeah. I agree. Hey, just by the way, just heading off piece for a minute, you were talking about your Iroquois trip.
Yeah.
I once had a flight in an Iroquois, and you just sort of brought back that, what a fantastic machine they were. Yeah. I was flying over the Motu area, the Motu River in an Iroquois back in the 80s, and it's a great way to see the country. My ex-father-in-law had a little jet boating business on there. On the Motu?
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. I'm not sure it was consented or anything, but he was local iwi, so I don't think it mattered.
Yeah.
But I was packing myself because they took the doors off, obviously, because they wanted us to see everything, and the seat belts and where I was sitting in the back were really loose.
Yes.
And I was sort of, I've got an issue with heights as it is, and so you're in the side of a chopper and loose seat belt. Yeah. But so how I mean this Paris demand, I mean, are we on track to meet our targets?